Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Omar. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I got a little bit of timer because we're going to be practicing a couple of things, right? Practice what you preach is what they say. So, big on 15-minute frameworks, right? So, we're going to try doing 15-minute podcasts, keeping it at that mark. With that said, today, I want to thank you not just for tuning in, but I do want to talk about something that as a leader, working in different retail capacities, leadership capacities, in different niches. Um, I want y'all to understand something, right? I don't care if you're an owner operator. I don't care if you're an area, district, regional, whatever the case is. Okay. Uh, if you want your people to perform better, there's a few things that you need to do. One of the most important things that you can do is respect your people from the get go. Okay. That's one of the biggest things. Now, oftentimes, okay, because I've lived it, I've done it myself, right? Personally, as an employee, worked it because it's just the love of the game for me, right? And some of the industries I worked in. Uh, but as a leader, as a manager, that's really what you come out to be when it comes to this. If you're expecting your people to give you 60 to 80 hours worth of work, worth of output, but you're only wanting them to pay them 40 hours, right? Just the bare minimum for full time, okay? Not 32, the 40, okay? Because they're like, no overtime, no nothing, but I want all this done. But I'm going to refuse to bring in headcount. I'm going to refuse to increase staffing. Um, Figure it out, just get it done. Okay, we can figure it out, but don't get mad when shit doesn't happen, right? You want all of this output, but you're not willing to put in the input to be able to get that out. And that's a big thing, okay? That's one of the biggest things that you're going to do that's going to affect you negatively, right? Because when you're talking about paying them that way, you're paying them hourly, you're not paying them salary. And if you are paying them salary, you're giving them a shit salary, okay? Just to be real, okay? Well, the commission's gonna make up for it. Are they making $150,000 at like that minimum level with that commission, that bonus? No? Okay. Then get real with some of this ass that you have, right? Uh, you're reaching out to these people on their days off. The fuck are they gonna do when they're an hour, 2 hours away? I don't know. Just figure it out. That's what you're there for, right? That's why you want to have cascading days where different leaders are off and others are on. You don't want all your leaders off on the same day because then shit hits the fan. What are they going to do? That's also why it's great to have ASMs because you get to build up your bench. Okay. You get to have other people in those leadership roles to be able to step up and actually take on even though it's for a small period of time, take on that command to be able to learn what it needs to, what they need to do in those days as well, right? Through learning. Uh, and then the other thing too is you're wanting them to work when they're off, right? It's like this needs to be done by whatever day. I don't care how you do it, just get it done. Cool. Is manager on? Is that leader on? No. What are they gonna do? Is that person on or off? They're off. What are they gonna do? Right? Like the hell do you want them to do when they're nowhere near the systems? They're nowhere near an area that they can happen. That doesn't fall on those people. That falls on you as an organization, on you as the supposed leader of the team, of the area, okay, of the organization. So that's super important for you to understand because those things are going to derail you. They're going to derail your team. They don't build up your team, right? You're breaking them down. What are you going to try to do? Break them down so you can build them up? No, you're going to get the bare minimum performance out of them. They're not going to want to give you that output. They're not going to want to do anything for you. And the moment they get a chance to just bounce, they're going to do it. And y'all know, especially with some of these younger generations, sometimes they don't fucking care. They're just going to bounce and figure it out. Okay? So that's what you need to understand. It's not that there's nobody out there that wants to work, is that nobody wants to work for shitty people and shitty companies, right? And when you hear certain things like, oh, this is a fast paced environment translates to we don't do any training, we don't provide any training, and we're going to try to work you to the bone because we have a lot of people that end up leaving us. So we're just going to try to get the most out of you while we can. And that sucks. That's shitty. Okay? A perfect example would be like Target that's recently in the news because they have their 10-foot rule. Well, I'm sure they've had something. I used to work there many, many years ago, right? And I'm sure they had something back then that was something similar to it. But the thing is, you got to understand what's important for the metrics, and you got to understand, are these, are you wanting them to just stock shelves? Are you wanting them to make the place look pretty? Or are you actually staffing appropriately where they can actually be able to assist customers? Because guess what? If they're only being measured by how fast certain things are, stocked, or certain things are taken to, certain fulfillment areas, the fuck they're gonna care about helping people when that's, yeah, they're there, but that's not what they're getting paid for, right? That's not what they're being graded on. Because if they end up saying, oh yeah, I got stuck all day and I ended up helping all these customers, but I didn't get any of this stuff done that I'm, measured against, the fuck does that rule mean? It doesn't mean anything to them. You're just setting up a bad experience for your employees that are going to end up leaving, and they're going to take that tribal knowledge of how a lot of the systems work. Because you might think my SOPs are great, they're on point. No, they're not. Sit down with any of your employees and ask them if these SOPs from A to Z are correct. And they will tell you, okay? The people in the field will tell you. Don't listen to the people that make the fucking SOPs because they half the time don't know what the fuck is going on. And that is from the real world experience. All right. Well, this is how it was when I was okay. Things have changed. You moved. People have left, right? Things have changed in different departments, especially as you get bigger. Okay. But you need to be real about what you expect from your people. And you also need to be real about what you, as a leader, expect of yourself for them. Okay. For instance, if you want to know how to be able to best build up teams so that you don't have to be chasing people down, you're not asking them, right? Or you're not expecting 60 to 80 hours worth of work just for 40 hours because the output is coming through. It is being delivered within that 40-hour period, right? Certain things. The first and biggest one is you got to build up your team, right? Not tear them down. You got to build them up because when you build them up, when you invest in training, when you invest in coaching them, when you invest in developing them, when you become more of a mentor, more of a guide to what they're trying to accomplish within the organization, they're going to want to actually do more. And that want translates to actually having more productive hours while they're on. They're able to do more and accomplish more because guess what, guys? Energy does affect things, including the speed and productivity. And I don't care what y'all think, but for me, right, energy attracts. So if you got down energy, that's going to repel people. It's going to repel potentiality of coming in, of uncovering things, right? But when you have that positive energy because they feel valued, they understand that, you know what, my leader is looking out for me. They're going to, as much as they can, right? Because within reason, they're trying to develop me. They're actually doing things that nobody else has done in the past for me. And they value me as an individual. I want to do more. So I am going to work towards it. And then that aura also brings in more, right? If y'all watch The Secret, half of it is bullshit, okay? That's to be fair. But the other part of it, though, is that yes, that energy does attract. Why? Because it puts your mind in a different frame, okay? You're able to see things differently. You're able to put things together more easily. You can problem solve easier, right? You can see the solutions in real time because you're actually wanting to do it. Okay, it's kind of like the poster from back in the day when we used to have in school, right? A mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. When you tear people down, they close up. When you build people up, it's like a flower. They bloom, right? They open up. They want to be there. They want to do more. So that's a big thing. Other things, right, is make the pay better. This is your investment. Especially in a sales organization, your salespeople are what's going to drive the growth. Okay. There's only so much you can do from a systems perspective. But when it comes to actually closing, your people are going to be the ones that actually close at a higher clip for you. Okay. So invest in your people. Make sure they're taken care of. If your people are making more than you from the get go, especially if you're at a single location, great, right? As a district manager, one of my best performing stores, the store manager made more than most of the DMs. Okay. And I was happy about it. I was like, that's amazing. That's great. Okay. Because I was happy with what I was making. The other DMs were happy with what they're making. And they knew that this person, if they honestly did everything well, would end up becoming a DM, right? And they would have an opportunity to grow and expand their career in a different path. So they see that. Okay. But the pay also equates to, all right, how much of a value do you give us as individuals, right? And yeah, you might be kind of straddled a little on what you can do, but that's where you have to look at the potentiality of what you could make with, what you guys sell. The margins, what can we work with? What if we, make it a little bit thinner here where because we really don't need it. We're pretty solid in this department, right? We're not going to zero it out, but we're able to move that a little bit more where it can actually move more product for us because our people are going to be wanting to talk about this more because we're going to do whatever, right? If you work in a sales environment, if you ever had to come up with, spiffs, pay plans, things like that, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And that's going to be a big thing because as the pay becomes better, your people will perform better. You will stop you'll stop losing people because of that, the other organizations. Okay. That's going to be a big thing. So that's a big one, right? The other thing, guys, understand that we're not family. Okay. We're a team. We work together towards goals. We can make a culture, right? We can have a great environment, but we're not a team. I mean, we're not a family. We're a team. We're not beholden to each other because of whatever. You chose to bring them on board. They chose to stay. We work as a team. And just like a team, if I decide, you know what, there's another fit for me somewhere else, I'm going to go there. Or you decide, you know what, they're not cutting it no more, right? We need to make a change because we need to make sure the rest of the team as a whole is solid as well. That's what it means to be part of a team as well. We work up together. We train together, right? We're in the trenches together. Family are not in the trenches together. You guys know this already, right? Family holds themselves beholden to each other just because of, blood. Okay. And if you guys want to know what the actual phrase is, it's not that blood is thicker than water. Okay. That is not the case. It's the blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb. Meaning that the bonds you decide to create are stronger than the bonds to which you are born to, right? So a lot of people get that wrong. Why? Because when I choose to be part of this group, I chose it. I made that decision actively. I'm not stuck there. I chose to be there. So I want to be part of this. I want to perform. I want to do more. Okay? It's the exact same thing for your people. It's the exact same thing for you as a leader. You can't just bring them on board and be like, great, hit the floor, sell. Where's my training? Where's my development? I don't even know how to fucking take a bill payment. I don't even know how to make a basic sell. If you can't do those basic things for your people, you're setting them up for failure. You're breaking them down because then you're like, the fuck you mean you don't know how to use our system that we didn't teach you on? And you would be surprised how often that happens. Okay? Well, I put you on the floor to shadow. You did? Really? With who? What were they supposed to teach me? Because they didn't know what they were supposed to teach me and they wanted to do their own thing. And I kept asking questions and they said I would figure it out because that's what they had to do. And that's what you guys need to understand. It's not about throwing them in the deep end and sink or swim. Okay? It's about guiding them. Because, yeah, you could do that and you might find somebody, but that is not a repeatable process. When you build up your team, when you train them from the floor up, from the ground up, that is where they will learn more. And that process is repeatable. So you can take more people, bring them in, and have them be far more successful than some of your top people because they're going to have a shorter time window, a shorter time frame to be able to get up and be actually profitable for you as an organization, actually profitable for them as an individual looking to make those commissions and bonuses. That's what you need to work on. That's what you need to help develop. Because even if they have the sales background, guess what? Do they know the systems? Do they know the processes? Is there a difference in how we do things to where they were doing it before? And the answer is always yes. Okay? It was different. Yes, they don't know the process. Yes, they weren't taught this or that. Yes, the policies and procedures are different here than they are over there because they had to go to this department. Now they don't need to do that. They just do this. They don't know that. So where you thought you brought in an A player, but they're struggling, it's not okay, what are you struggling with? They don't know what they don't know. So you need to take the reins and find out where they're at. But you can only do that if you have an actual process in place. So you got to build that out. I'm not saying have that before you even open up your doors for the first time. You're going to need to build that up. So you're going to need to ask questions and ask your people like, hey, what are some of the tougher things? What are some of the things you guys are struggling with that you're not understanding, right? Because then that breaks it down. KPIs aren't being met. Okay, why are those KPIs not being met? Like, what is the disconnect? Okay. And that's where you start to develop that training. That's where you start to develop that process, right? And you can build them into an SOP, but you got to have a system in place. And you got to understand that SOP is not written in stone. It's malleable. If you don't know what malleable means, it means it's going to change. It has to change because things don't stay the same. Okay? So remember, guys, stop beating your people down. It's on you as a leader to build them up and empower them. You want them to succeed. You want them to actually become good at what they're doing. Okay? You want to stop chasing people and having to hire people because you have such a fucking bad churn rate when it comes to employee retention. Then stop breaking them down. Build them up. And if you're wondering, Omar, how do I build up my team? What's an easy way to do it? Check the link in the description. Grab that 15-minute framework. Start using it. It's something as simple as that. Okay? You would be surprised. We're not talking about you need to do an 8-hour training system or no. Okay, a weekend long. No, we're not talking about that because it's a bunch of data dump. You're going to lose all that information when you actually need to implement it. Okay? I'm talking about do small, repeatable actions that are actually going to build habits that are going to get used on a daily basis. So check it, grab it, be sure to follow us, right? So hit that like and subscribe button. Guys, I want to say thank you once again for stepping into another episode here at Sales Manager Academy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Omar, and I'll catch you on the next one.